Hey everybody, this is your boy Marcus Norman from Gentleman Style Podcast, your host from the number one podcast coming to you live in America. And here we go. Hey guys, this is your boy Marcus Norman from Gentleman Style Podcast, your host of the number one podcast coming to you live in America. And today we have a very special guest, powerful guest. This woman is changing the absolute game. She's incredible. She's amazing. She is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the letters in the alphabet. And she is just phenomenal. She has her own company. She's doing business with family and loved ones and people she cares about. And she's educating. She is teaching people how to create multiple streams of income, even in a pandemic. Today, Miss Ericka Williams hails from North Carolina native, is a businesswoman excelling in the trucking industry. She owns 12 semi-trucks, 9 properties, get this, a popular 6-figure YouTuber. So I gotta steal some tips right quick from her after this show. An author based out of Austin, Texas, who specializes in lead generation, entrepreneurship, and passive income investing. Ericka is the creator of Cassy Climb School, which includes courses, mentorship, consulting for aspiring entrepreneurs, executives, and freelancers. Her brand specializes in helping you create multiple streams of income, growing your business, and ultimately cultivating a work from anywhere lifestyle. Through this program, Miss Ericka has helped over 6,000 had over 6,000 paid consultations in her span. Today, my special guest, we are bringing to the forefront Miss Ericka Williams. Please help me welcome this phenomenal woman, and thumbs up, likes, hearts if you got them. Please, please, please welcome Miss Ericka Williams. Miss Ericka, yes.
What's up? What's up? Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you for spending time with us in your busy schedule. Miss Ericka, I'm gonna dive right into it. How did you get started in entrepreneurship?
I got started and then I stopped and got started again. But I got started because when I was 14 years old, my cousin created a dollar store. Now, he didn't buy a franchise or anything like that. He came back from contracting overseas in Kosovo, came back. He got a catalog on where you could buy parts and stuff out of China, toys, all this stuff. If you're anybody who's been in business a long time, know they used to have these thick catalogs where you could order stuff and it would ship, in a month to get here. And he created a dollar store. And I was 14 years old, and I was like, you can create anything. You can create anything, right? It was super educational. It was perfect for all that it provided. But as I became an adult, once I got out of college, I was like, hey, unfortunately, my grandma and my father died within 6 months of each other, my senior year of school.
I'm sorry.
And I was able to take some of that funds along with my family supported funds and open a coffee shop across from Fellow State University. And it was great. It was great for 2 years until they started tearing up the highway and it was unsafe for students to cross. And I lost that business, right? So, and me and a couple other people in the plaza also went under that year. But when I moved to Texas, as I was out here exploring, doing things, and I was telling people about my family and our history of buying properties, and my grandpa had a farm and a juke joint, people were like, what? And so I just started sharing them on YouTube. And then I eventually, every job I was at, I was like, yeah, I'd try to make it more efficient. I try to do things better. And the company would always be like, just do it how we told you. And I knew I could not breathe like that. Right? Knowing you're doing something inefficient and then you can't change it. That was the worst for me. Right? Or I was an assistant billings manager, and a billings manager basically does all the cool work, does all the hard work, and the apartment manager does all the nice talking to people. And so I'm in there crunching numbers, and I'm seeing that, the painting company we have is charging us an arm and a leg. Right? And so I say, hey, listen, if we just hire a full-time painter and pay him $50K a year with benefits, and he'll just paint all the apartments as they turn. And they pretty much just dismissed me like, be quiet. What do you know, right? So that year, 175 apartments emptied out. And then an additional like 50 units needed painting. So they end up paying that guy almost, I think, $500,000 because he had to keep coming back and back. And this is a 700 unit apartment complex. They were painting the doors originally to change the color scheme. And then it just started snowballing. Empty unit, empty unit, empty unit, empty unit. And it was like, I was sitting there like, like I thought, right? And, and then the guy who had the painting company was like 32. So I'm sitting there like, hey, dude, you're young. Like, let me ask you all these questions. And I literally called up my friend Andrew Bryant and I was like, hey, we're starting a painting company. We're starting today. So
that makes sense. And that's an incredible start. So you come from a family of entrepreneurs, it sounds like, just being exposed to all of it.
Here's the thing. Our family, if you ever read Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant, it's the best book, not the Rich Dad Poor Dad. The best book is Cash Flow Quadrant. They're very security-based minded folks. They all join the service. All the boys in our family go do service for 4 years. They come out, get a VA loan, they get the car, they use the GI Bill. They have a structure and a way of it. But opportunities kept coming up where they could buy a cheap house of the neighbor, or a neighbor be like, hey, your son's back in town from service. Hey, he can buy this cheap house. So you looked up, our family has these rentals and they have the spirit of entrepreneurship there, but still very security tied. Right. And it's interesting just even now, like people will tell my mom, hey, this house is empty over here. She's like, okay, I'm gonna tell my daughter. She doesn't know, like she doesn't understand wholesaling or any of that stuff, but she just knows my daughter can think of something, more than I can, right? Or know how to get this property. So it's crazy. But I would say they're very security focused, but they have that entrepreneurial spirit.
And that entrepreneur spirit has passed on to you, and you do business with family as well. Like most people would shine away from that. Most people would shine away from doing business with family, but you actually embrace it. You encourage it. You bring people along and show them a way in your class. And so you always harp on saving, right? Getting your start somewhere. I watched your videos. You're phenomenal. And you always talk about, just get started. Let's go. Let's get this done. And you say you always share the number, $27 a day to start saving. Why? Why that number and why?
So I was working as a waitress in afternoons. And I was like, there were older women who had been in their 50s and they were still waitresses. And I'm thinking, that's crazy, right? I'm young. I'm thinking, I wouldn't be doing this in my 50s. And they said, well, honey, I have a house. I have a car. I have this and this and that. And I was like, how are they doing this? And it was because they had this motto. If I just save $27 a day, by next year, I'll have 10K. And that's how I bought my house. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Well, then later, once I moved to Texas, and I remember that lesson from that lady, like super clear, right? She was never in a need for money or a crunch. She never came to work in a bad mood. She just was a happy waitress.
Right.
I worked in pizza, Papa John's delivery, and all the guys in there had houses. And I said, what is going on? And so, they're all pizza delivery drivers, right? And so what had happened is the year before, a banker had lost his job and he started delivering pizzas. And he told them all, he said, listen, if you can show these deposits where you're depositing this money from this pizza, if you're claiming taxes, y'all can get approved for some of this housing out here in Texas. And every single one of them followed it. And one of the guys said, like clockwork, yeah, I save about $27 a day. And I laughed because I'm like, this is my second time hearing this. This is meant for you to take it here, right? It's no coincidence that two different people in food service, which is overlooked and like disregarded, have cars, have their house, have security, and you're out here trying to figure it out. Like they're good. And so I tell people, like, when you hear something more than once, you need to like write it down somewhere because it's meant for you to hear it.
Okay, that's true. That's true. That's straight facts. Y'all, please like, share, and subscribe. We are on all major platforms. We are on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Please connect and uplift Miss Ericka Williams as she gives back. This is powerful, powerful stuff you're not going to get anywhere except in her class or on this show. So, Miss Ericka, you do a multitude of things. You do everything. I don't think there's anything I saw on your channel that you don't do, but you do a multitude of things. Trucking. Mm-hmm. You own a trucking company. What is that like, and why the trucking business?
So I try to tell people I don't do everything. I do one thing at a time, super hyper focused. And once I get it kind of smooth, I make sure someone's managing it fully time, and then I go into my next project. So what ended up happening is YouTube, I'm just documenting my life, right? I'm documenting my life. The trucking, I'm documenting the trucking. I ended up being around Hood Estates, and they were talking about how they had a truck and it was on the road. And then I had talked about the class, you know, I had been affiliate, I've been talking about it. And this guy came up to me, he's like, oh my God, thank you. And I don't know if he was Nigerian or he was, it's another country. I hate to do him like that way, but he basically was talking to me in Houston, and he was like, hey, I watched the video. I bought the class. I went to Navy Federal, got a 40K unsecured, you know, line of credit, bought my truck, found a driver, had it on the road in a week and a half. Wow. And I was like, holy smokes, right? This guy was kicking it, right? And so I end up just being like, okay, you gotta take off. You gotta go ahead and do what you're gonna do. And my little nephew, who's 14 now, he is all about ice road truckers and the shows, and he has his own lawn care business. He's got like 60 lawns. My uncles drive him to his little lawn care appointments, you know, and you know, we gave him 10% on one of the trucks my sister bought, you know, and so it's one of those things where, you know, you incorporate a family where it makes sense, and sometimes you don't when it don't make sense. But it became, for me, when I would go to the sites, I would see everybody but us, and I just mean it this way, us buying trucks. Like, even when I thought it was us, I'd walk up and they'd be like, oh no, and they start speaking Spanish, or I'd walk up and they would, you know, be Middle Eastern or whatever. And I was like, oh wow, you know, everybody who, and I'm big pay attention. I tell people to pay attention to immigrants because they come here to win, right? They've given up a lot to get here. So they're going to do what it takes to win. So when I'm on the phone and everybody I talk to on the phone is not American, everybody I'm talking to in shipping is not American, everybody I'm talking to in factoring is not American, they know where the money is. You know what I mean? Like they know where the money is. And while people are sitting here arguing like, well, should you own a truck or should I do this? We all know someone who drives, right? So it's one of those things. We all know one or two people who know how to drive. And so, you know, just the numbers, I think you probably know it, but out of 3.5 million drivers, how many do you think own their truck?
I'll go with half. It's a safe way.
380,000.
What?
So less than about 10%. So
that don't make any sense.
Yeah. So imagine driving for somebody for 40 cents a mile when you could own the truck and make $2 a mile.
You're losing. I mean, there's money on the table that you're leaving behind. A lot of guys are just, they don't, you know, and you'll see this with service business too. They're a good technician and that's it. There's a great book called the EMyth Revisited. They'll be a great painter. They'll be a great hairdresser, but they're not a great manager. They're not a great business owner. It's just one of those things. And so what I tell people is, why we have so many people in an industry and you don't own anything? And another thing that really sucked me into the trucking was in the past 2 years, 2017 and 2018, the government gave 30,000 Sikh Indians visas to come here. So 15,000 one year, 15,000 other year. And they came for trucking jobs. And when I started trying to hire people, they would be like, I don't care. I'll come work for you. I don't care. I don't care you're a woman. I don't care you're a Black woman. I will come work at your office. And so if you know anything about Sikh Indians or the Indian community, not Sikh Indians. Sikh Indians they have the turban, they have the long beard, right? So religion. The other sectors of the Indian population are 48% of people who own hotels in America. So they come here to own. They don't come here to rent and play, right? One of the most famous Sikh Indians right now in the news, if you look him up, he owns a truck shop. He drove a what we call a truck center, which it has oil, you know, has gas, has, you know, services and stuff like that. And he owns 9 trucks. And the articles on the news and the marketing to India is like, hey, you can come to America and be like him. He owns his own truck stop and he owns 9 trucks, right? So just imagine, just easy numbers here. 30,000 Sikh Indians, if they all go buy 1 truck, that's 30,000 trucks in the marketplace. If they all go buy 2 trucks, that's 60,000 trucks in the marketplace. If they all go buy 3, that's 90.
And before you look up, they'll be the marketplace.
They'll own it.
Yeah.
They will corner the market, literally.
Yeah. Even right now in Dallas, there is some the ConGo. I don't know if you say Congolese or how do you say it? Four African men in a company in Dallas. They have over 350 trucks. And what's funny is they were interviewed by international news and stuff. And they were like, yeah, in America, there's this thing called equal opportunity hiring. So we had to hire Americans. And so they show like one random white lady, one random but everybody else was African. They hired their own. All the drivers are African. And so you have to understand, if people come to America, they don't come here to play. They don't come here. They come here to win. They get in industries that make money, that make consistent money. Let's look at the pandemic this past year. Who was still out there going about their day every day? Truckers.
The Indians. Yeah, truckers, because we need supplies. We need logistics. We need our goods and services.
They were out there just driving on, just going on about their day. And everybody else is like, well, I got to get home, or I got to do this, or I got to worry about toilet tissue.
And that's incredible. That's smart. You are a multi-level, what I like to call a multi-level entrepreneur, not multi-level marketing, multi-level entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. You have a multitude of wisdom and knowledge and experience and diversity. You've diversified your portfolio so much to the extent that you also do credit repair.
I used to. I sold that company.
You sold. Congratulations. but you did it. And mm-hmm. So why credit repair? Why that industry? And does that even make sense in a recession right now for people to be focusing on credit repair right now?
Credit repair, you're going to see so many credit repair agents come out of everywhere, because what happened is people took moratoriums, people took discounts, people took breaks, and everybody's going to have the same story. Oh, it was COVID. Oh, it was the pandemic. But that doesn't matter. It still shows up as late payments and different things, and people will have cars repossessed. I mean, before the pandemic even started, and something I tell people on the channel is last year, before the pandemic even started, you had people, I think it was 8 million people 90 days late on their credit cards. And you had about 4 million people late on their car payments for 90 days. So you already had people with credit looking kind of funky, right? So then now you got 2020 on top of it. Some people's credits for the past 2 years probably look horrible. And this is the thing. People say, well, Ericka, you can live well with bad credit. Yes, you can. You can get a house, you can get a car, but the interest will be high. If you try to apply for a job, companies now check your credit. Why? Because if you're going to be dealing with people's sensitive paperwork and documents and social security numbers, they can't let any old body be in there touching that. And if you got a terrible credit score, they either think you're in a desperation mode, something, right? Even the military. If you're a military person and you have a military clearance and you have bad credit, you can lose your military clearance for certain jobs.
True. Very true.
Cybersecurity. One of the hottest industries out there. You cannot get a cybersecurity job paying $100K, 100 racks plus starting if you have bad credit, because companies you cannot pass their security clearance. Wow.
Y'all, please like, share, and subscribe. This is incredible. I am amazed. I'm astonished. So I'm a double back here. So you sold your credit repair company.
Yep.
Why? Because it was a thriving business for you, right? I mean,
right.
How did you know to make that move? Because I think people get into business with the mindset of, I'm going to hold this business, I'm going to turn it over to my kids. But you actually sold the company, right? That's different. That's different from what we all been taught. How did you know to make that move, and why?
So with any business, you have a certain type of people, certain type of clients. The higher income you get, or the higher your prices, the different type of clients you get. Same thing when it came to painting and fencing. My business partner in painting fencing, he wanted to stop doing painting and just focus on fencing. So at that point, I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and just sell that part of the company to you and exit, right? Same thing with, I had a partnership with the credit repair, and the guy was doing all the credit repair services. And so when he wanted to go, hey, we need to do this, this, and that, I said, listen, I just don't agree. So I'm going to sell. And so for 2 years, I really woke up every day, got to sit in my apartment all day on the phone, on the internet, on YouTube. So a lot of people were like, man, she just She'd be at home all day. She's in the pool. She's doing this and that. But it was because I had businesses that required a phone presence or online presence, but not a physical presence to be there.
That's incredible. And I gotta dig a little deeper on that. You got sick one time.
Yep.
And you talk about this on your channel. You got sick and injured, and you explain. Can you tell that story? Because I want people to hear that so they can understand the power.
It happened twice. Which one? When I had my appendix or the other surgery?
The appendix story, because you were like, that story was just powerful because no one helped you and you were in pain for hours. And the next day, yes, please tell that story.
So I was working as an apartment manager, and then I was delivering pizzas at night. So I had my pizza uniform on, but I went to work and I was like, oh my God, my stomach, something's wrong. And they're like, oh, you're probably just sick. But it wasn't normal. It was like I was vomiting, it wasn't normal. So there was a hospital, but it was a very expensive private hospital around the corner because we were buying $1 million houses. And I was like, this is the closest. I just don't feel well enough to make it to the next hospital. So I go to this hospital. I'm crawling in, hands and knees. They think I'm being dramatic. They're like, put her on a thing, get her in the back. And they lay me in the back, and I hear them basically saying, over my door wide open, oh, she's probably got food poisoning because she works at a pizza place. And I was angry because I was like, you're disregarding me because of the uniform I have on. So finally, about 1 o'clock in the morning, and this was 8 o'clock when I went in. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning now. So I've been there for hours just in pain. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. The Indian kid comes in the back, and he's young, barely got the baby face. He's like, hey, I just looked at your scans and I'm so sorry, but your appendix is about to burst. It should be like this, but it's like this. It's 3x this size. So I'm gonna dope you up with this morphine. And in the morning, they're gonna wake you up and you're gonna sign the document and go into surgery. So I'm like, what? I call my mom and I'm like, and she's of course in North Carolina, which is 20 hours away, right? And she's like, okay, I'm coming. And I'm like, Mom, you're not gonna get here. It takes 20 hours to drive. She was not flying in planes for whatever reason. She was kind of scared at the time. So I wake up in the morning. They like literally put my hand on a paper, and I'm like, whoopee, right? And I literally don't work for the next 2 months. But because I had so much money I had to put in lending club. I had it in monthly dividend stocks. I had money put in CD accounts. I just was able to get dividends off some of that stuff and also liquidate some of it. Navy Federal, if you don't know, has a great, you could do a 3-month CD, you can do a 6-month CD, you can do a 12, whatever months you want. And some of them were closing out when it was time.
Wow.
During my surgery. So I literally at that point was like, oh, this is when the light bulb was like, double down on dividend stock. Double down on lending club, double down on things that are going to continue to pay you later.
And that's what Miss Ericka is teaching y'all. That is why I had to get her on the show. It was incredible when I heard her and found her, and I said, this is incredible. She is, you're living a life in a pandemic, in a recession, and you give people hope. You give people hope. And they can see that, man, maybe I can do this. $27 a month. I can give up some Starbucks. Mm-hmm. I can give up some McDonald's. I can give up some Subway. Here you are killing the game. And you're in several industries. Just for example, the trucking industry. I keep going back to that because that is what primarily dominated by men. Mm-hmm. And so, you're here doing it, and I needed you to share that story because my audience needs to hear that we have to do something else. We have to do something else than what we were taught to do, what our parents taught us to do. And so your school, Cassy Climb School, mm-hmm. Tell us about that school. And because you go dive deep into some of this.
And so the Cassy Climb School, I started talking about tax liens. I start, documenting how me and Andrew did the painting company via the middleman to millions course. I also had the YouTube course, 6-figure YouTube course, how to have a YouTube business, not just a, hey, I want to be on camera, right? Right. I just broke down things that were necessary, right? I even talked about blogging on one of the platforms, but the reason I put the courses together, because after a while you answer the same questions over and over and over again, and you're like, how can I make this easier, right?
Right.
And
Send
so that's
people a
what we're
link.
doing.
Yeah, you send people a link and you created a course, a funnel system, so people can just go to that and they can learn and still get the value that you taught. You are phenomenal. And your book, The Rise of the 1099 Economy. Why do you feel that? Tell us about that, and why do you feel there's a rise in 1099 contractors?
So the rise of the 1099 economy, I wrote that like 4 years ago, almost 3 or 4 years ago, because I started seeing this trend, and I said it's going to be a bunch of 1099 folks, because companies have no incentive to sign you on. They have no incentive to put these big pension package together anymore. It's going to be more like you're free to hop and choose and go, right? And I started seeing Indeed and Upwork, and what really kind of provoked my mind to it was the book, The 4 Hour Work Week. If companies can get you for 20 hours, they only need you for 20 hours, right? Why give you these huge incentives and packages when they don't need you for that? And so it started clicking for me that, hey, you're going to see a rise in our society of all these people who, are all of a sudden having to navigate being 1099, how to get their taxes put away, how to get insurance, how to invest and save for the future, right? Because a lot of people think, well, my job has this, or if 401k match me. Some people are going to have to learn how to invest for the future. That's just, it is what it is. And so it's the rise of the 1099 economy. And now we see the gig economy. We see things, Uber, it becomes very normalized, right?
Who helped you? Who did you have a mentor? Do you recommend people get mentors? How did you learn about Lending Club? How did you learn about credit repair? How did you learn about these different things to get into them?
I was big on seminars, and I would go to events and I'd be like, man, let me soak this up. Or they would talk about it. I remember this guy did a review to Lending Club, and he said it's like a big bump you banks kind of thing, right? He was like, the bank won't give you a loan. Who cares? You can go to here, or you can go to there and get a loan, or get a, and I was like, that's amazing concept. And so when I went on there, it was all these people getting home remodeling. There were people on there doing purchasing cars, consolidating their credit. And I thought, wow, like all these people were using this, right? Using this platform that nobody knew about. So I started telling people about these different peer-to-peer lending. What was great about it was I found a book called The Alternative Answer by Bob Rice. And all of a sudden, Bob Rice was like naming off alternative investments, and peer-to-peer lending was the number one thing he was recommending. And I was like, so I'm on to something here, and so that was a big thing for me, was recognizing there were more ways to get more money, higher percent interest, right? If I tell people now, like, hey, you can get 12 to 20% interest, people are like, what?
They won't believe you.
Yeah, they won't believe you. But that was consistent. I was getting 10 to 15% interest on Lending Club for a good 3 years there for a while. And then they start taking away some of the more, what they call risky notes. And now they're being purchased by a bank in December. So It's like, imagine this thing that was going on for so long and people didn't know about it. Millions were using it, but, and now it's being sold off, right? So
it is.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I just think I went to seminars. I'm a big investor in myself. Like I was like, how do you make more interest? That was my big number one thing I would always research. How do you get more interest? How do you get 12%? How do you get 20% returns?
And that's powerful. So I want to give my audience a little bit of backdrop about Lending Club, because you gave an amazing, incredible 3,000-foot view. Lending Club is, and what Miss Ericka was talking about, is a big FU to the banks. Lending Club is a platform where people can pool their money together to lend out for traditional loans. And so you are now becoming the bank. Your money is being invested out. Your money is being loaned out for people doing house remodels, people doing debt consolidations, people doing the things that a traditional bank would lend for. You now become the bank. And what that also means is you now earn money, interest on your money, the same way a bank does. So when a bank pays out interest on your checking account, they pay that monthly Lending Club, you get your interest rate accrues daily, and so your money is working harder and better for you, and you're hitting those double digits. I'm a big fan of Lending Club. Miss Ericka is a huge, phenomenal fan of Lending Club, and unfortunately, the platform is being bought out in December. We just got the notice a couple weeks ago that they're being bought out by a bank, and all our investments are going to be slowly liquidated into a savings account. So that's what Lending Club is. So I wanted to give some insight to that. Miss Ericka, wow. You are incredible. Hundreds of thousands of people are unemployed right now. We got a new president. We have a potential corona vaccine.
We maybe have a new president. No, but go ahead.
Yeah. Leaving without a fight, right?
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you say, standing in front of you, your student in your class, what would you say to someone going through this right now? All these different things, losing their job, is there still hope for them?
For sure. So again, when you have to think about it like this, you have to step back and go, 80% of people are still working. 90% of people are still paying their rent. Now, apartments are getting hit hard with the people not paying the rent, but the people in single family houses, they're paying their rent. You know how I know? There's numbers, there's documents, there's surveys, but also our family owns a lot of single family rentals. When times are bad, guess what? More people move into the house, right? And the rent magically always gets paid. There's more cars in the yard, but the rent gets paid. Not with apartments. People think, well, it's an apartment, I can get out of here, right? When it comes to single family housing, people pay. Right now, what I want people to understand is the reason I put together the courses like the Rise of 20%, where we're kind of masterminding with each other, is you have to step back and go, okay, this is a bad time, yes, but where can I advance in this bad time? What are businesses and industries that will always need and go on? So right now, if you turn on the news, you saw all these cars looking for food in the food line in Texas. Well, what's also happening in Texas right now? Pools. The installation of pools around the whole state has gone up so much that they're doing surveys in Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Austin, Texas. Pool companies are booked out for the next 4 months. Installing pools. Yes. Because guess what? People are home. Now, being home with the kids all day, oh my goodness, I need something. I need a break, right? Here's a pool, right? Home remodeling is going through the roof, right? All my friends who have remodeling companies, fencing companies, right? You need your fence up now because you're home all day. You're tired of looking at your neighbors. A lot of things that are service-based businesses. If your AC go out, still need somebody to fix it. Roof got a hole, still need someone to fix it. Everything that you can think of that's service-based, there is money in it. They did a survey. I think it's a Pew Research survey and a couple things. I'm trying to think of how to say it. And they did it by communities. The Hispanic community went up 30% as far as income and 30% in ownership of assets. And this is over a 2-year period. And I say, why is that happening? Because they usually have service-based businesses, right? Absolutely. They have the remodeling, they have the construction. So if construction's having a boom, they're having a boom. If this is, if particular things having a boom, they're also experiencing the boom. So again, I always tell people focus on things that, in the Middleman to Millions course, we've got people in there that we bought on the channel that have a cleaning company. She's in Mexico and the cleaning company did 30 grand. We're all remote in DC, right? We had a guy in there, he started a roofing company. 3 weeks in, he's done made 100 grand, right? And again, that's gross, not net. But because guess what? People still need services. And when you have a shortage of people providing the service, the economy people are going to take a HELOC to fix their house if they got to be stuck in it, right? You got to be trapped in your house for the next 6 months, you're going to fix it, right? Because that hole in the wall now getting on your nerves. That leak in the roof is getting on your nerves. It's getting on your wife's nerves. It's getting on your nerves. These people, when people are like, how are all these people buying houses? If I'm escaping out of New York and I'm escaping out of California, I'm going to go to Texas and I'm going to look for a house with a study, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, a pool. I'm going to be comfortable if I got to be stuck at home, right? Because at some point this will end. I just don't know if it will end and we all go back to work in 6 months, or do we still repeat this cycle for the next 2-3 years? So if I'm a husband and wife team and we got 3 kids, I want to not go crazy. So I'm going to go get a pool. I'm gonna go get a new roof. I'm gonna go get an extension on my house, whatever I can do while my credit is still good, one,
Right.
in this economy, and two, while I still get a HELOC, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna use that money wisely because if we're gonna be stuck in this house, I'm gonna be in it.
I'm gonna make it nice. I'm gonna make it
Oh, yeah.
luxurious.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The bathroom that was getting on your wife's nerves before the break, now she's like every day, like, we can fix this bathroom, right? She's gonna do that every day.
Facts. So. You're so right. Miss Ericka, that's incredible. And so I love the fact that you are just fearless. You don't have any fears whatsoever, even though, and I keep bringing this up because my audience, everyone, we see it on the news. It seems like doom and gloom all the time, but you're just fearless, and you're just going into, you have several businesses, you've sold companies, you're owning property, you're running a business. Do you have, what do you see happening, or where are you betting your hedges, I guess? What are you investing in these days?
So my biggest thing is, once you get a certain amount of knowledge, you can move laterally. A lot of people, the favorite topic people Google on YouTube is, if I lost it all, how would I start over? Right. And there's a certain, and that comes with what we call basketball players, football players, what we think are stars. True business people, we can lose for 90 days and start something new and keep on rolling because we have a certain level of knowledge and a certain level of community now, a bigger level of people to interact with. True. So for me right now, my biggest focus is land. So I'm in the middle of a project called Texas Ground Zero, where I'm purchasing 18 acres and there's a semi-truck repair shop on the land. We're converting the back 15 acres to 344 truck parking spots. In the future, we're trying to see if we can get a hotel somewhere near there. And also we're putting food trucks out there. We're basically making it a truck center. Wow. So the goal is to make it a stop place where trucks stop. Not only do they stop, they get services. Because let's do the math. If you have 344 trucks parking at any given time, 10% of those trucks are going to need something repaired, right? So that's 34 trucks going into that bay of that shop getting something repaired, right?
Right.
And so it's a consistent, full, busy business. Not only that, you'll have the food trucks giving alternative type of food to drivers because they sick of McDonald's. They sick of Burger King. They done had that 45 times. They want something different, right? And so I tell people you have to find the marketplace moves. For me, it's going to be land. It's going to be building on the land. I'm going to be focusing on some Airbnbs that are unique, what we call the getaway. If you notice, a lot of Airbnbs that are like off a little bit remote, right? The reset, kind of relax, off in the woods a little bit, are very popular. What you'll see in the future is a lot of van life folks moving to the middle of nowhere and buying a cabin, right? Because I can already document me and my staff have documented maybe 150 channels so far where people have moved off. They got out of the van and moved to the middle of nowhere, right? And a big thing I tell people is I'm heavy on Texas. And the reason I'm heavy on Texas is if you take the DFW, which is Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, right? Dallas-Fort Worth DFW, and you take the population of the DFW, the population just in that part of DFW is bigger than about 18 states in the United States. Maybe closer to 20 states. And I show it on a map in my community page if anybody wants to go check it out. And they'll be like, what is that? What does that mean, Ericka? I'm like, that's how big Texas is. That the population in this DFW is more than all these states' total population. You have to understand the reason we have the electoral college, not to be political, because if we voted based on the size of our states, it'd be literally California, Texas, New York, and Illinois. And that's it.
That'd be it.
That's it.
That'd
be it. And then the election will be like, what do those states want? Okay, that's what we'll have. And that's why we have the electoral college, because those 5 states have such huge populations. You have to understand this. California has the population of Canada, the whole country. Canada has 39 million people total. California has 38 to 39 million people total.
In one locale, in one state.
One state. Honestly, California should be broken into 2 states. It should have been done when they voted on it a long time ago. But again, what's done is done. That's a history lesson. But They did. They were in 1800s. 1900s. They were like, we should break this up, and then they could never agree. It was never enough votes for it. But they should have. You should have a Northern California, and a Southern California. Just like we have a North Carolina, thank God, and a South Carolina, which is our bad cousin that we don't care about. We don't care about South Carolina. We want them to go away.
And she can say that, y'all, because she's from there. She's a native, so she can say that.
From North Carolina. There are bad.
I've only driven past. I've only visited.
It's
never stayed. I love Myrtle Beach though. I love Myrtle Beach. I will say that.
We have 13 islands on North Carolina and 12 islands in South Carolina. So if you get a chance, check out like an island.
Okay.
It's worth it.
I'll do that. What is your favorite business out of all the things that you've seen, invested in? What's your favorite business? Real estate, trucking, note buying, lending club. What's your favorite business out of all of them?
Real estate, it's like seeing something, like imagining a blank canvas and then you can do what you want with it, right? That's really exciting. Like to see dirt and then you can just build on top of it. You can, whatever, right? Or to see, I went and saw this piece of property. It was 120 acres and it had farm on the front. It had a creek through it. It had some deer running in the back part. We were hunting on it. It had some cabins over here. And I was like, all this in 120 acres? Land is something that will always fascinate me because there's so many places, people always say, oh, it's overcrowded. It's not. If you go out of any major city and drive about an hour out of that city, it's like nothing. It's like the country, right? You can do that in Houston. You can do that in Austin. You drive an hour out from the city center to wherever, it's already cheaper, less populated, all those good things. And so land always fascinates me because of the different things you can do with it, right?
Absolutely. My favorite is real estate. A powerful thing that I just discovered, because when I look at land, land investing, I don't get excited the way I used to. But then someone brought to my attention, well, he was looking at buying this land that had a bunch of lumbers and trees. And I was like, that's a waste. There's nothing on it. And he said the lumber on it, you can sell that lumber to a lumber mill and they'll pay you millions of dollars for that lumber because now you own it. And so just like you said, you had a creek, you had a lake, you have all this roughage that you can convert into and mold into whatever you want. So that's absolutely powerful. Miss Ericka, how do you give back to the community?
So it's a combination of things. I'm a big believer in 1 = 10. I can't remember the book I read it out of, but it's been with me for years now. If you look at families, and the reason I like educating for the most part with these videos and some commentary, some being silly, is one person can change the next 10 people in family. And then how do I know this? You'll meet one person in the family that was a trucker, and then a bunch of kids become truckers. You'll meet one person in the family who's a nurse, and then a bunch of girls in the family become nurses. Our family, one person in the military, then generations and generations of military. We're 30 some people served, right? So 1 = 10. So if you have one family member that comes out here, starts a business, makes money, gets rentals, then 10 family members that are around them that are going to ask for money at Christmas, going to ask for help here and there, can change their life. I remember Lisa Phillips, and she was talking about how she has all these siblings. Like she has a lot of siblings, but she's the only one that really does real estate, has multiple properties. Her sister's nephew got in trouble or in jail or something for like something petty, shoplifting. And they were like, hey, just pay the $275 fine and he'll go home. Her sister didn't have $275. She had to literally wire her sister $275. And she said in that moment, she was like, what if I didn't have it? So one person, even though you think $275 is nothing, in that moment when the teenager is in jail and just has to pay a simple fine so he can go home, couldn't go home because of $275, y'all. Think about that. And that's why I'm so big on saying save $27 a day and get you 10K the next year. And without fail, every time I used to say in the video, somebody be like, well, that's $984 and I'm like, you get the concept, buddy. Come on.
Right.
Like quit being that person, right?
There's always one.
There's always one. You know why? Because the nature of someone sticking their head out of the mud and saying something the person is either a builder or a demo person. So a demo person only knows how to tear down. A builder is going to go, yeah, that's great, girl. Exactly. A demo person's like, well, you could do this better. For what? Why are you doing that?
Facts.
Right?
Facts. Hashtag facts. Miss Ericka, how can my audience connect with you? How can we support you? How can we uplift you in today's economy? How can we support what you're doing?
You know, if one, pray for me. No, you know, every day, right? Two, I would say, you know, support the channel, you know, share the videos, help people out. That's really what I tell people is super helpful. I think I have like 4 or 5 new courses coming out for Black Friday, probably dropping them early today or tomorrow. Just putting them out there, but yeah, share the content. You know, it's always super helpful. Every year I do a boat party. I think next year we're changing it. And the way this, you know, pandemic's going on, who knows what we'll do next year. But yeah, sharing the videos is super easy. That's super helpful. And just talking with your family and friends, because here's the thing. When I tell people, they're like, man, how do you do all these different things and keep switching? And I go, because it's the consistency factor. The first 1 or 2 things our family's like, but then by the time I'm on the 3rd, 4th thing, family's like, what amount do you need? How much money do you need? One time I was on vacation and a truck went down and it needed $3,000. And my cousin looked over at me and said, oh, I'll pay it because I know you'll pay me right back. No problems. Right? But he wouldn't have done that if I was inconsistent, running around and doing all these things. When you show people you're consistent, and you know, even I've had people loan me business loans and they've been like, hey, how you know, take your time paying it back. I know you're good. You ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna consistently be here in Austin, Texas. I'm gonna consistently be fighting for you, fighting for me, trying to get good business. And that's the thing. Your name carries many, many years ahead of you. So, you know, be consistent, fight for it. And yeah, share the channel. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's Miss Ericka Williams. She's on YouTube and most major platforms. Also, you can connect with her on her class. Did you want to talk about the book? I can't let that go. You have a book. You have several books.
I have several books. Which one do I have on the table here? I could probably lift up. This is a good one. This one right here is Smartphone Millionaire: How to Invest in People, Businesses, and Real Estate from the palm of your hand. It's really what got me started. I have a gratitude planner that's out right now. I don't have one in front of me to grab, but gratitude planner, it's just recalibrating your mindset so that you can kind of get recentered for this year. Because 2020 was hard, but a lot of people there are people right now with kids and a spouse and a wife and food over their head, food in their bellies and a roof over their head. And they're like, oh, it's so bad. I'm like, is it? You're doing pretty good there, buddy. You're not sleeping in the van or on the side of the road, So kind of wrote that book to get people to really calibrate their life. We have a new planner coming out for 2021. But if you see the website right now, I think the old planner is still there. So
perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Ericka. Thank you all, my audience, special guests, and new subscribers and new viewers to the channel. Thank you for supporting us, Ericka, and giving back. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out of your busy schedule to really you've encouraged me. And I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Listening. Encourage each other. The energy flows, man.
Absolutely. If there's anything I can do for you, anything my audience can do for you, please reach out. Please connect with me. And also reverse. If anyone wants those links or can't see those links on the screen, please connect with me and I will get you those links to Miss Ericka because she is dynamic.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, like always, we are tuning. This is the end of our show. Thank you for tuning in to Gentleman Style Podcast, where we are giving back, and Miss Ericka has blessed us today. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tune in to the replay if you've missed this, and connect with Miss Ericka and connect with myself so we can support you. Like always, I always say, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and take care of business. This is Marcus Norman and Miss Ericka Williams signing off. Love you guys. Bye.